Welcome, one and all, to a fantastic year of Mix and Mush. Yes, 2025, the year of our Lord, that Lord, of course, being the Slime Machine.
Praise
I'm
be.
Dan.
And I'm Richard.
And praise be, of course, to the Slime Machine. It's a beautiful year. The birds are swooping viciously in and out of the Mix and Mush studio. The fish are boiling in the water, which we have, of course, set in the jacuzzi that we keep them in to 400 degrees Celsius. They are not doing well. And we are looking very much forward to a fantastic year filled with references that only we will understand, where the men are good looking, the women are also good looking, and none of the children understand the reference I'm making. 2025, it's a year to be reckoned with. I, the man of the hour, Richard, the man of the hour, and this cold open ending at exactly 1 minute and 20 seconds to be determined in the edit. Goodbye.
We did it. I don't have. You said the kids aren't going to know this one. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, the key is when you say something like that there is no reference, or is there? No.
Oh, sure. We want them to feel like outsiders, so we're the only ones who can give them the information.
That's the key to a successful podcast that you want many people to listen to, is that no one knows what you're talking about, so that they feel like, you're not talking to anybody but yourselves. That's really what a conversation should be.
Yeah, I think so. I also like how you've kind of painted the Mix and Mush office as like
a hellscape.
We like salvaged a romance suite that has like a jacuzzi and like a skylight in it, where the birds get in and the fish get boiled. And then we do our podcast in the other corner.
Well, guys got to eat,
Guys got to eat. Fish got to steal fish. And then birds got to steal fish.
Birds got to steal fish. Fish got to get boiled in the... I'm still going to say it's a chlorinated jacuzzi, so it's not going to be safe to eat those fish by any means. But they're there, and they are birds alive. So,
and it was way cheaper than a koi pond. So
yeah. No, I'm not... We're not doing that. We're not shelling out for a koi pond. Not in this economy. Let me tell you, it's not worth it.
It's an investment. You can't invest in fish. It doesn't make any sense.
No, fish are fleeting and being burnt alive.
Fish are fleeting. Jacuzzis forever. I'm Richard Burns, and in 2025, when I'm the mayor,
a jacuzzi in every house, a fish in every pond, being burnt by the really terrifying birds that are swooping down on them, taking them out of the jacuzzi.
We got to do something about these birds. It's in my next term. We'll see how the first one goes, and then
Look, we're not going to do a lot of forward thinking. What we are going to do is eat a lot of fish. And next up on the docket, we're going to be thinking ahead to 2025. And the first order of business is shilling. That's right. Shilling our Blue Sky account, which we still are very proud of, because as you may know, we have seen exponential growth on Blue Sky and have become the first account with 4 billion followers. That's right.
Wow.
4 billion followers, 3 of whom are from Earth. The rest are from somewhere else. I'm really proud of this. It's not clear if they're from another planet or if they're just from elsewhere. Do we have the data on that, Richard?
Because it's a new quarter, the data hasn't really caught up to it yet. Since we're in quarter 1 of 2025, there a lot of them have characters beyond comprehension, beyond human language, beyond really this time and space. A lot of accounts that are saying, "I'm from beyond. I'm from the past. This is the past," and it's really hard to kind of put that together. But I am excited to see what sort of growth and what sort of influence we'll have on just the climate, both literal and socially, going forward in 2025. Back to you, Dan.
Very good, very good. Yes, this is a business podcast now, and I'm happy to say that by using words like quarter, beyond, that the two of us are very scared terrified, you might say, that things are going to be going very, very poorly. Now, what we're going to be doing looking forward is crying and,
Okay, sure.
and thinking about where it all went wrong. Back to the fish.
Back to the fish.
Oh, they're dead.
My God, they're gross.
Oh, they're dead and gross. Oh, the fish are dead and gross. Oh no.
Oh, and I mean, and the thing is, because we've been working on a rebrand for the new year of Mix and Mush, right?
Right.
And
right.
I think we can safely say this is the only podcast where two self-proclaimed alpha males are hosting.
Yes.
So we're here with the tips. We call women females now. That's new.
And femoids, which is the funny one. It's the funny, cooler one.
Yeah, that's really cool. Everyone should do that. Fucking losers. I can't. You added too much reality to my bit. Now I'm mad about it.
Alpha males. You know what I like about being a man is that I'm insecure constantly. I'm afraid of things.
It's the best part.
I am unaware of my own place in the world, and sure, I'm aware that I'm constantly being told that things are my fault, but I also refuse to take any personal accountability, and yet when I preach personal accountability, I give lofty ideas about what that means, and I don't give anybody any concrete ways to do that or explore what it might mean. And if you have a feeling of any kind, bottle it up and put it away. Don't even think about it. I don't want anybody feeling anything. This is what Mix and Mush is. You put that deep in the ground with the boiled fish from the jacuzzi, or I swear to God.
This podcast is about monster trucks only and tools.
Yeah, big monster tools.
Also, we're alpha males, and you're the only person who's ever felt like an outsider ever. So you should pick up a dangerous mindset and apply it to your life. You're the only person who's ever felt this way.
This is a good time to mention that we have a Patreon, and if you're feeling like an outsider, you can donate to our Patreon.
If you want to fit in and earn masculine love from us, the hosts of Mix and Mush. That I shouldn't have worded it like that, but we're too paternal love, not. Like
Are you missing what the Greeks would call eros?
God damn it!
This is my favorite cold open we've ever done.
I've got notes.
Can we step out of the bit and say that all of these alpha male people are losers and horrible grifting jackoffs?
Oh, they're the fucking worst.
And
it's
listen,
oh my God.
I just to put our stamp, because we've talked about this privately. Look, neither Richard or I are paragons of masculinity or even knowing what the hell we're doing in our lives. I think it's fair to say.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think we also, anyone, I've been listening to, speaking of the Greeks, I've been listening to a lot of Stephen Fry lately, and he quotes, I think it's not Erasmus, but a Greek scholar says, anyone who says that they know what happens after this life is either lying or a fool. And I think that the same can be said of anybody who tells you that they know exactly what they're doing in this life is either lying or a fool. And I think that just while we're joking about alpha males, like, look, find community in other people who love you and tell you that they don't know what they're doing either, because that's who you're going to find comfort in, and everybody's going to have a bad day sometimes, and that's okay. And the best thing to do is to admit that you're having a bad day and move on with it, and don't listen to losers. Listen to us who are
listen to us who are cool. The cool kids. And just to add something on there, right? Every human being feels alone at times. But the thing about that is that's such a relatable, like, in feeling alone, you literally are with everyone else in the same boat. Every human being has felt the same way. So you don't need to like isolate or lash out. It's because it's like a human emotion. And I think if you verbalize and like understand when you start to feel that kind of way, you become like an adult. You don't become a fucking radicalist or whatever, or a fucking monster. Just be a person. Maybe that's too simple, but
anyone who tells you you're the only one, yeah, well put, Richard. Anyone who tells you you're the only one feeling the way that you do is lying to you to get your money.
Also, don't trust anyone who tries to sell you something. But on Patreon, if
you can see big monster trucks and dead fish that we found in a jacuzzi, and you for. Well, I think anyone. This is a good way to start the new year by ending this funny little rant that we're doing by quoting David Lynch by saying, to anybody hawking such drivel, I would say to quote FBI Director Gordon Cole, "Fix your hearts or die." That's the best way of putting it, right? So
absolutely.
There you go. When in doubt, turn to David Lynch. And on that note, I think. Did we have housekeeping for real? I can't remember.
Oh, fuck. Let's see. We talked about Blue Sky. We talked about the Patreon, and then we joked about
Patreon's
Patreon.
real, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a certain point of it. Like, we went too far.
Don't feel compelled to follow us on either, but we do have them. So
we do have them, and this one's a little more loosey goosey. The holidays were stressful. We got through them, hopefully, and we're just kind of setting up. We're putting our feet down in the new year, and just remember, we can get a little sappy. We can be a little silly, but we're in it. We're in for another round.
We sure are. We've got. I find this cool because I always like. I like when things are. I like when things are kind of. I guess symmetrical is the right word. I was going to say kind of like. On the calendar when things kind of line up. So we put our episodes out on Wednesdays, and the first day of the year is a Wednesday. So every day that we put out an episode will be, it'll line up weekly. So that's fun. So you can expect on the first of every week on the calendar an episode of Mix and Mush. So you can also expect we are going to be more active on the Patreon. So expect a lot of fun stuff. We've got some cool things in the works that I think now that we've got some runway, in other words, a lot of cool things coming down the pipe. But in other words, we are not reinventing the wheel. We're just adding more rubber to it, I guess.
We're adding more wheels.
Oh, we're adding more wheels.
It's a bike now.
Oh, we've been on a unicycle. A tandem unicycle is a really funny image.
Well, we were trying. It does explain some of the unsteadiness. Being like, maybe this.
We've just been like on. One of us. We've been swapping being on each other's shoulders, riding a unicycle.
And the one riding the shoulders looks down and goes, "It has to be easier than this. It has to be easier than it looks."
There must
then we
be
swap,
another
and then
way.
It's like there has to be a better way to get around town. To get to the GameStop.
Like walking, for example.
Like walking. This is less safe and less efficient.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
Well, I understand, as per usual, you do have a hypothetical for me.
I do.
And I'm itching to start the new year right with a hypothetical.
Okay.
So.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's play in a world of pretend. Now, Dan, hypothetically.
Yes.
If someone approached you and said they would pay you $500,000 a year,
ooh,
but you had to live on a space station orbiting Earth, how many years would you sign up for?
Oh. Well, okay. I'm alone.
Feel free to ask clarifier questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Once a month, you can bring someone for a weekend, a long weekend.
Oh, that's okay. That's not
pretty.
That's not bad.
Still sucks a little, but
yeah, but that's
something
not
to look forward to.
That's not like an isolationist nightmare. That's like, I think some people do that on Earth.
Some people thrive in that kind of a pattern.
So am I on like the moon, or is it like a satellite? Is it like the satellite of love from Mystery Science Theater 3000, where it's just me and robots? Do I have robots?
No.
Can I make robots?
You can make robots, but only you don't become smart enough to make robots. If you yourself can make robots,
Okay,
you can.
I don't think. I think I'm probably as smart as Joel Hodgson was on MST3K. I could probably make a robot out of whatever parts he had. Okay.
Sure, I was
Is there
thinking like
somebody?
the International Space Station. That was kind of my thought.
Oh, okay, so it's not all right. So nobody's sending me cheesy movies. The worst they can find.
I mean, if you want that, I'm sure they could arrange that for you.
Okay, because this is if it's an MST3K situation. So I'm not.
Let's pretend there's no robots for the planet.
Okay. Okay.
That seems to muddies the water a little bit when you're like, me and my machine friends.
Because honestly, if it's MST3K and my wife shows up for a long weekend every month, that's pretty rad.
That's a good time. That sounds like a nice time.
I'd probably do that for like 80 grand a year, honestly.
Where's Dan? Oh, he travels for work.
Yeah, he goes to space with his robot friends. I would say, so do I have a job to like, do I have a job on the space station? Do I have to upkeep the space station while I'm there?
You have some basic upkeep stuff, but you're not expected to be like an astronaut.
Okay,
it's like when you rent an apartment, you can't break it, kind of thing.
Okay, and it's not like imperative on me to keep it going for me to live.
No, NASA. You're in contact with NASA, and they are studying you in space. They're not.
Okay.
They're not expecting you to do research yourself.
So it's like an experiment. So I'm an advanced monkey living in space.
Yeah. Your name is also Bozo now, and legally they changed your name to Bozo.
I'm taking that as a perk. That seems great.
Sure, yeah, that's an add-on. But yeah, so they're like, hey, we have this new system. It lets people live in space without all the negative effects of living in space for a long time. Would you help us test that by being in space for a year?
So I'm not dealing with like the bone density problems that the astronauts on the ISS get.
Unless you want that.
I don't think I want that.
Okay, just making sure.
If I'm being honest, I think I could do without the bone density problems. Man, 500 grand. And I'm assuming I'm paying like normal taxes on that. For
your take home is 500,000.
Oh wait, wow, okay.
Yeah. And you have a 401k. I don't know if that's important.
Yeah, I'll take. Are they matching?
Yeah, they match.
Wow, NASA's a cushy gig. I think.
Also, imagine your resume after. Yeah, I was an actual astronaut for a while.
That would be worth a lot to be like, oh my God, can you imagine going into any job after that and being like, so what are your qualifications? Oh, I'm an astronaut. I think I can handle this.
Yeah, I was in space.
I would say it exactly. I was in space. Yes, not only am I qualified in customer service, but I am now from Poland, and I lived in space for quite a while.
There were space side effects that we didn't expect to happen.
Yes, I'm now from Poland, and I lived in space for a while. It's me, your friendly neighborhood Poland spaceman, and I love eating space food, which is what I call toothpaste.
Hasn't even launched yet. He's already lost his goddamn mind. That's NASA talking about you. It's not even left yet.
They just put me in like I'm just in like Milwaukee. They put me in a pod. Like I'm not even.
You're not even there. It's like
that's
a trick.
The experiment. Yeah. Is there an upper limit on how long I can do it?
No. Depending on your answer, it might increase per year though. Like, let's say it doubles every year. Well, okay, it doesn't double every year, but every year adds another 500,000. So 500,000 for 1 year, $1 million for 2 years, and then $1,500,000 for 3 years.
Oh, I meant like in terms of like, is there a like a time that they're looking to do the experiment? Like, are they saying,
oh, okay,
we're looking to do this for 3 years or something?
No, it's more of like, however long you are willing to stay up there, they will accept that.
Wow.
But it just has to be 1 year contracts at a time. So you can do more or less, you can do more, but you can't do less.
Honestly, I'm thinking 500,000. I mean, even if it's just that, and I don't like re-up for more, I'm thinking like if I do that for 4 years, I think I would do that for 4 years. Do I get anything for like entertainment, or is it just me sitting up there?
You have dial-up. You have dial-up internet.
I have dial-up internet. Honestly, okay, I've got dial-up.
No, you can have stuff. You have like stuff. You have a pretty solid internet connection.
I mean, if I have a solid internet connection, yeah, I'm thinking 4 years. I get 2 million take home.
4 years.
Yeah. I get 2 million take home. I pay off all my debts. I invest the rest. I put enough in like a yearly like a bond that I can just take out, so I pay myself a salary every year for like a sensible apartment and petty cash, and then I never work. I just live off dividends for the rest of my life. That's what I would do. I would do 4 years in space. Even if I didn't get the long weekends with like visiting anybody.
Oh, even if it was just you.
I think so. I think I would probably be like, because I could Zoom with people.
Sure.
And I would be like, this is kind of terrible, but I'm thinking about, have you seen that documentary? And I'll look up the name of it. There was that, it's a really good documentary about that guy in Japan who did the, it was the reality show about the guy who lived in like solitary confinement, The Contestant. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't. No.
He lived in solitary confinement, and I think it was like for just under a year, more than a year. And it was, so tells the story of Tomoaki Hamatsu, better known as Nasubi Eggplant, as he starred in a 1998 Japanese reality TV show. Hamatsu was challenged to stay alone, unclothed, in an apartment for Susuno, Denpa Shonen, a Japanese reality television show on Nippon Television. He was challenged to enter mail-in sweepstakes until he won 1 million yen, about $8,000 in total. He started with nothing, including no clothes, was cut off from outside communication and broadcasting, and had nothing to keep him company except the magazines he combed through for sweepstakes entry forms. During the show, his diaries on his experience of being locked away from the outside world became a bestseller in Japan, and the TV show broke all records with 17 million viewers each Sunday night. So the setup, it's a great documentary. The setup was like, how quickly can you go from nothing to enough to like, you know, rent an apartment and like live based on like just entering contests. And he lost his mind, you know, and because
Sure.
he was just like, he was totally isolated. And the documentary goes into kind of what happens afterwards, because he had no contact with anybody, and he just, you know, you lose like a part of yourself. So I think like, I say this now, I think I could do it, especially if I had contact with people. He didn't have like any phone or computer contact. I think if I had that, I could do it, because you always hear about like prisoners in solitary confinement, like it's torture, but they don't have that. They don't have like, they have yard time, but they're on their own. They don't get face-to-face contact with anybody. So it's like, I guess I'd have to read studies on if you have like, you know, contact you and I are having now. Like, does this keep people from going insane? Because if it does, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
I would assume so, right?
Yeah.
Getting like a stimulating conversation. That seems right.
Right? Because I think like unless you really lose your mind and you're like you go deep into solipsism and you're like, no, Richard, I don't think you're real. Like I think you're fake and I'm talking to like fairy dust or something. Like unless that happens. But I mean, that could happen to me tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
that's a good point. Is like,
Yeah.
that's like such a like that would be awful if that happened. But like being in space is not, that's not the trigger for that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, plus there's like, and this is the last thing I'll say and then I'll turn it on you, but like, there's also like, I think I would probably weigh it also. I think like living in space with no adverse health effects, right? Like no bone issues. I mean, that's pretty incredible, like getting to see the universe beyond the firmament of the earth for 4 years. Like that's pretty unbelievable. So, I mean, that's a experience that you can't really put a price on. So I think you add 2 million on top of that. Pretty good.
Let me add two. I have two modifiers here. One, what about $1 million a year? But there is a xenomorph on the ship.
Oh no.
But it's contained. It's in like a container, and they say, "Hey, just so you know, there is a xenomorph on there, but it can't get out. It just is also on the spaceship with you." Is that $1 million enough for you to be like, I trust NASA when they say that the xenomorph is in there and it won't get out?
Is all they tell me that quote unquote it's contained?
You can visit it if you wish. It's in like a plexiglass cube. It's like in a glass cube, but it can't get out.
No,
they're testing the effects of xenomorph roommates.
Xenomorph roommate. He left the toilet seat up again.
I hate the xenomorph. And
there's acid. Yeah, there's I'm just saying, xenomorph, that when I load the dishwasher, I would like you to run it. It's not enough that you load it, because if I go to bed and it's loaded, but then I wake up and it's dirty, it makes me think you don't respect my time, is what I'm saying, xenomorph. Please.
Xenomorph from the Aliens franchise? What are you doing? You're drinking all my stuff.
With your little weird mouth. That's a little guy, I think.
You melted half the gallon. What am I supposed to do?
Is that another little alien, do you think?
I like to think no, because I think if it's yes, I have a lot of really uncomfortable feelings about the xenomorph. The idea that it has like a dual entity. Yeah, I have other issues with the xenomorph. But okay, so that would maybe not.
No, if they were upfront, I have two answers to this question. If they were upfront about it, I would say no right away, because I know that thing would get out and kill me.
Of course, it would almost certainly it will get
100%.
But
there's no money worth that. If they didn't tell me, I would simply not re-up my contract if I made it out. And then I would say you guys are jerks, and
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I formally request more money immediately.
Yeah, I would sue. I don't know what the law is for that.
And I would say, I would say, like, clearly you had, foreknowledge of the xenomorph because he was behind plexiglass. What are you telling me? He was in there?
He put himself in there? Stupid?
Yeah. No, come on. He'd be roaming around.
He loves vents.
They love that. I've seen those movies.
This is not their natural habitat. The natural habitat is out of a person's chest and in dark
vents.
corridor. Dank vents. One more. Okay, I got another one. This is my last one, I promise. $1 million a year, but you don't get to pick who they send.
Every
month, every long weekend. They just send. They send either someone you know, somebody you don't know, celebrities.
I think unless it's the xenomorph, I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, they say no. They say, Dan, we promise not to send the xenomorph.
I want that in writing, and I think I'm okay with that, yeah. Because, like, unless they send, Unless it's like anyone from history. It's like
They're not
Genghis
gonna
Khan
say-
shows up.
What sort of Doctor Who level fiasco has this become?
I have a lot of questions for NASA after this trip. Like, what do you do exactly? Because
What do you do?
I think I misunderstood what you guys have. I thought it was mostly rockets, but I think it might be magic now that I really think about it.
And your guest this weekend, 48 gallons of salt water. That isn't a person. What in the world? Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Are you guys gonna fly it back?
I'm not keeping this.
I don't want this.
But what if it's someone you know? It's always someone you know, but you can't pick who it is.
Yeah, I would be okay with like a long weekend, I think.
Okay.
I don't think there's anybody that I
Would
there's
hate
no
to
one that
spend a long weekend.
Yeah, there's no one that I wouldn't tolerate for that amount of money for a long weekend. Even if it was the same person every long weekend, like
That
if
would
it
be
was
unlucky.
somebody, it would be. But even if it was the same person who I desperately hated, yeah, I can't think of anybody who I would be like, at a certain point I would just be like, all right, listen, you're going to be on that corner of the spaceship, and I need you to respect what I'm telling you right now, or I will get the xenomorph to come give you a real nasty hug.
There is only one twin bed, so maybe this is like an enemies to lovers story about Dan gets trapped in space.
I think at that point I would say, you can have the bed. I just need you to understand that you need to be in the bed if that's where you're going to be. I don't want to see you.
Also, the idea of it being the same person. He's like, I know. Like when he comes out of the pod, like I know, I don't want to be here. He's like, stop coming here. I think you don't want to be here.
That would be so. I'm picturing like the first long weekend. The Star Trek doors open. And they come out, and I go, oh, and I try like really hard to suppress my disappointment. And I go, did you bring any board games or anything? No. Okay. Well, and then I show them around, and then I'm counting the hours.
Show them around. What a nice host. Show them around.
Because it's like, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, thank God it's just a long weekend. I'm counting the hours until they go, and then the doors shut, and then they leave, and I'm like, oh God, and I'm happy to have time to myself, and then the week comes before the long weekend, and I'm thinking, oh, I wonder who it could be. Maybe it's somebody that maybe it's like my aunt, maybe it's I don't know, Emmanuel Macron, I don't know. So who could it be? It could be anybody. And I'm thinking I'd have a lot to talk to them about, I guess, but who could it be? It could be anybody. And then the doors open, and I go, oh, what are the odds of that? And I'm like, I'm not as caring to show my disdain. I go, great. All right. Well, you know the deal. And I just kind of show, and then,
oh, okay.
Right. And then the second it passes, and then they go, and then the third time, and it's them, and I go, it's going to be you every time, isn't it? and they kind of like shrug, and they're like, I think it's going to be me every time, because I this time when they called me, they didn't even tell me where to go. Right. Like they just said,
I know. I got it.
Right.
I got it.
Like, and so I'm like, all right, well, let's plan this. And then it's like, even if it's not going to be them every time, we both just kind of come to that conclusion. And then it's like, well, this is going to suck, but at least we're not like going to be surprised. And I think at that point, we just kind of come to terms with it.
It's very big of. I think that's very big of you, because
hey, I'm in space. I'm making what, $2 million? What'd we say?
Yeah, something like that. And you got bigger fish to fry a little bit.
In the jacuzzi that I brought with me.
Hell yeah. That was my one term. I'll go to space for you, NASA.
But I'm bringing the death jacuzzi, and I'm bringing fish because I need them.
There's not gravity there. It's not going to work the way you think it's going to. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I think I'm smarter than you guys, okay?
Yeah, you guys are really confusing. You put a bug monster up here with me, which seems like an oversight.
I think I'll figure out this whole space thing, NASA.
Well, I think we figured it out. You did it.
I figured out space.
You did it. Yeah.
I'll be going next week, so I'll I'll see you in a couple of years with $2 million and the same bone density, which is
Hell yeah.
the
That's
really
important.
important thing. Yeah, it's really important. But is your answer you would do it, or are you
I'd probably do.
spaceophobic?
Well, I think space should be allowed to get married. But
It's very progressive.
boo. I want the audience to know just the grimace on my face when I said, like, even I didn't think that was very funny. Just like, ugh. Easy. But no, I'd go for probably 2 years.
I think that's
I'd just spend it away and quiet.
There you go. Yeah, get some good writing done. Maybe catch up on some movies or some games or something. Yeah, I think.
Well, I mean, it is the New Year resolution, which means that counter for my yearly movies that resets, baby. So if I'm in space, I got time.
This is what we in the business call a segue, because I wanted to ask
that might be the first one I did. That might be the first segue.
It was masterfully done. It was masterfully done.
Well, what can I say?
Well,
New Year, new me.
It is. It's a new paradigm on the show. Segues could be done by anybody. I wanted to ask you the best kind of thing that I think we all like to think that we're capable of in New Year's.
Sure.
Is New Year's resolutions, which I think as I get older, I find to be more incremental and less massive. I
think so.
Yeah, it's more like, instead of, giving up sugar, it's more like, I'm going to stop eating an entire bag of sugar every day. Yeah. And so when I stop eating half a bag of sugar, I feel like, hey, I'm making progress.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I think my resolutions as I get older tend to be like, instead of exercising like crazy every day, like going for a walk every night or something like that. Yeah. And you have a fun one that I don't know if it's like a resolution so much as it is like, well, I don't know. What would you call it? Like a goal?
Homework.
Homework for no one?
A Sisyphean hurdle. A Prometheus punishment where an eagle eats my liver. It could be anything. Yep. So what I've spoken about it a few times on the show, but just to kind of summarize, I try to watch 200 movies a year. Yeah. And I've been doing this for about 3 years now. I've been trying to do it for about 3 years now. I have succeeded 0 times.
What's the closest you've come?
The closest is this year.
This past 2024.
2024. So we, just to we're just kind of giving away the recipe a little bit. We record these a little bit before the day of, so it's still technically December when we're recording this. Yep. And right now, as of last night, I have 179. Whoa. Which is the highest it's ever gotten. Last year it was 163. I think the year before it was 120. So
wow, okay.
This is the highest it's ever been.
179. So, I mean, I think the last time we talked about it, you were in the headspace where it was like you were close enough that you could do it, but far enough away that, or no, how did we put it? You were far enough away that you could do it, but not close enough that it was like you could like rush to the finish. It was like, if it happens, it happens. That kind of feeling, right?
Yeah. And I really do feel strongly about the idea of like, if I ever reach that goal, I don't have that goal anymore, right? Because watching 200 movies... Watching 200 movies a year is fucking crazy, right? And 180 is also crazy. I'm not pretending it isn't, right? But if I'm like, I did it. There's no trumpets. There's no hurrah. There's no, so the idea of like, well, because I'm not going to go 300. That's like a movie every day, basically. So that's bananas, which is a really cool thing I've been saying lately. Stuff is bananas. I'm trying to keep it pure for the new year. But this is bonkers. But
well, 180 is a lot, but it's also like a fun. I mean, that basically amounts to one every other day, which
Seems
sounds
fair, I think.
sounds like a lot, but that sounds fairer than like one every day, which
Yeah, well, it's one every other day, but also I took 50 days off.
right, right.
So I mean, well, no, not quite. I fucked up. You were correct. I forgot.
Am I? Well,
No,
yeah,
you were right.
Yeah, yeah.
I fucked up.
Yeah, 180.
I hit the number 150 in my head for some reason, and I fucked it up myself. But
I think that
no, it is just about every
Yes.
other day. Yeah, you are
Every
correct.
other day.
I looked at a number and it overrode the other number in my head.
I think the craziest thing about doing this is not in my opinion.
Sure,
it's
I'd love to
not
hear,
like-
I'd love to hear
Yeah.
your professional opinion on what's crazy about it.
My professional opinion as an insane person is not it's not the time commitment, it's the like finding a movie commitment, because
Yeah.
there are 1.5 billion movies, right? You could easily find movies.
Billion.
But the problem is, like, if you have any semblance of taste, and I'm not saying like you and I are men of like incredible taste because
Sure.
we've watched a lot of crap. But the problem is like crap can be, people have, I think, the misunderstanding that bad movies are always fun. Bad movies are often
yeah.
very boring and like a slog to get through. And so like you can't just put on a movie and commit yourself to it. Sometimes like bad movies are often harder to find than good movies if you want to just sit down and watch them, like
think so,
and
yeah.
enjoy them. So my difficulty with watching even 180 movies would be like, how would I plan that? Like what movies would I watch?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's impossible. Like you have to remove any sort of structure or limitation or you have to any sort of expectation on yourself. You have to kind of throw that away.
Well, I feel like you had a good kind of, not even like a cheat code, but like a just a good kind of setup for yourself where it was this year that you watched like all the Godzilla movies, right?
I finished this year. Yeah, I've been doing that
You
for 2
finished.
years, but I finished this year. Yeah.
But like that, I feel like is a good way to do it, or like all the Bond films, like movie series that have like long running, huge entries like that,
Yeah.
where it's like I'm gonna watch all the Hammer horror films, where it's
Sure.
like
Yeah.
here's like a series or like a label where it's like I know that even if they're all bad, I can kind of say. Or I'm not even if they're all bad, but like even if they're all of varying quality, I can say I have watched all of these movies.
Yeah.
That I think is easier than just like I'm gonna pick randomly a movie tonight, because that to me is the difficulty of it.
It's tricky. You have to kind of let it find you, because my latest, because I did finish Godzilla this year, with Godzilla -1 being the last one, which was
Good
a
way
great
to
way
end
to great way to end it.
Yeah.
I also watched all the Neil Breen movies, which you spoke about on another episode. And that's I know that's only 6, but
Feels like 600.
oh my, you were so right. I re-listened to the episode where we talk about Neil Breen, and I'm like, Fateful Findings, such a pleasure, haha. And you're like, yeah, well, it's something. And then like now that I've seen all of them, it's like, yeah, Fateful Findings might be the only one that's like any fun at
Yep.
all. But it's a good time. But
the real secret.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my thing that
Yeah.
the biggest problem for watching this many movies is I keep a watch list, and I have about 200 movies in my watch list at any given time, and a lot of the movies in there that I really want to see are very, very long, and it becomes really hard to like I watched Godfather 1 and 2 this year. Too long. I watch, but like Seven Samurais is on my watch list. I've never seen it before, but that's also like 4.5 hours long. It's fucking crazy how long that movie is, and I would love to watch it, but the idea of that only counting as one is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's tough.
That brings me to another thing that you said earlier in our conversation today when we were kind of talking about other media that we were consuming, which is we were talking about like books and things that we've been reading, and you said that you had listened to 7,000 minutes of books, of audiobooks.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a more digestible way of saying like how you engaged with that. You know?
Sure,
it's like,
yeah.
It's easier to say with movies, I watched X amount of movies, but when I look at my audiobook library, I do feel like it's easier to say I listened to X amount of hours of books this year. And maybe it's because some of those books are compilations of short stories, so it's easier to say like, you know, I could say, like I was telling you, I have this collection of horror stories that's like 100 hours of stories. And it's like, yeah, I could call that one book, but that seems like unfair to say that I only read one book.
Well,
so
when you tally it like that, yeah, it's a losing game.
Right.
But like hours is interesting because I think I read like 25 books this year or something like that. Listened to some collaboration of that. And that wasn't nearly as rewarding because I didn't have Letterboxd to go on and get the dopamine hit of logging and reading all the funny reviews. Yeah,
right.
It's I'm collecting that. I can see that number go up. But.
That is kind of a fun. That is a nice thing. That's what I like. PlayStation trophies online, like it's an unofficial website, kind of like Letterboxd, where you can link up your PlayStation account and see like where you rank amongst other people who have completed platinum trophies and things like that. And people like comment, and there's like a community where you can have forums and people put guides up and things like that. And I feel like there is a dopamine hit, like you say, of, oh, I can see how long it took somebody to do this versus me, or how they did this, or how difficult it was for other people. I think that does add a layer of it to the completionist attitude, which is fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've never had a resolution like that where it's like, I'd like to platinum 30 games, or I'd like to watch 200 movies or read 30 books or whatever. But
so I think we can talk more about just resolutions, right? But let me just say, talking about watching 200 movies, I got pretty close, right?
Yep.
But I would argue, if I was to say like I want to watch every movie that went to theaters this year, that's so many less movies, but that's like an impossible task to me. Like, even if I can watch them at home, you know what I mean? Like the idea that I'm keeping up to date on every movie, that seems like an impossible task. So it's all about where you value your time, I suppose.
Because that's so much more of a homework project of figuring out like release dates and which theaters they're going to, which are only streaming, which are going to like niche theaters that only exist like 45 minutes away from you or whatever. Like, especially nowadays, because it used to be, remember when like Regal would have Fathom events where it's like, this movie is only coming to Regal, where it's like, it's going for one night and it's a special thing where you can buy it. Like sometimes they still do that, but more than likely that's not happening and it's just going to streaming instead. I don't know. It's not worth doing that to me.
Oh, absolutely not. And like, and I've learned a lot about the idea that I don't really care about the public like zeitgeist, if I might be using that wording correctly, but like, I'm not really into those trends of like what's big and what's like in. I want to watch some shitty movie that no one's ever heard of. Last night I watched a movie called Street Trash. You ever heard of that?
No, it sounds great.
It's fucking awful. It's a horrible movie. It's like a grindhouse movie, so it's all like sex and violence, but it has like really cool practical effects. But they only use it like 3 times in the movie, so it's a really bad movie.
Is that the one that you sent me on Discord? That was just like, it was like Boob the movie or whatever.
Dan. No, that is Killer Wreck.
Killer Wreck.
That film.
Yeah, great poster for many reasons. Two big reasons.
And that isn't a movie I've seen, to be clear. That's a movie I stumbled upon when I was looking through like related movies. I was like, what the fuck is this?
That feels like I don't know if this makes any sense, but that feels like a Goosebumps cover of a movie
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All grown up. Goosebumps all grown up.
Right. Fear Street, the movie.
Oh my God. I don't know if I'm going to watch that, but it has H.P. Lovecraft in the description, so it's like it might have hooks in me, so I might have to check it out.
Yeah, for the culture.
And fucker, you're the first person who's going to hear about it.
Yeah,
I'm
I might
talking
watch
to
that
Dan
tonight.
specifically.
Yeah, I might watch that tonight. Killer
You do
Rack.
let me know.
Yeah,
It has terrible reviews, which I think is a good sign for a movie like that. It could really go either way.
well, because you wonder, like, is it terrible reviews because it's a bad movie, or is it terrible reviews because it tricked perverts into watching it? You know, like,
Yeah,
that is
tough.
That's my question. Yeah, like, this isn't what I thought it was at all. This is much.
Wait a
worse.
minute, they have clothes on.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, it's a
Hey.
movie. Hey. But do you have any resolutions that you're either doing or have been doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think nothing too specific. I think keeping up with mine are always just kind of general health ones. I think the older I get to, the more I like to stick with those. But in terms of media, I think so recently, like, I pared down my game collection quite a bit. And I would like to make sure that I have, like, the platinum on all the games that I own. I think that would be cool. I'm pretty close, but, like, I would like to do that so that I have the platinum on all the games that I have before I get any new ones. So it's like, all right, I've like completed, my collection is complete in more ways than one. That kind of idea. I think that would be nice, so that I'm not, like, extending beyond my reach before I have kind of finished what I have. I think that, and then I want to read more this year, whether that's with physical books or just listening to more books while I walk and things, because I've really enjoyed, as we talked about in previous episodes, listening to more horror books on audiobook. It's been fun while I've been out walking and things. So I think just kind of general stuff like that, and broadening my horizons there. But yeah, nothing so fun. Although I would like to see if I could hit 200 movies, because that would be fun to see like what that looks like. Because I get conceptually what you mean by, like, how tough it is, but I want to like see, because, like, it's one of those things where it's like I understand in my heart what you mean by, like, how difficult it is, but there's some sick part of me that wants to feel like at movie 62, like, oh, I get what he means. You know what I mean?
It's funny you say that, because the full journey, there are such highs and lows. Yeah. Because there are times where it feels like I'm on a fucking roll, and there are times it's like, this is literally impossible, and then it levels out up and down. If you tried it, I think you would. Yeah. I don't know. It's calling it hard isn't really. It's not that hard, to be completely honest, but it's dealing with the gravity of how much time you've spent.
I totally know. I can totally get that, because I'm. It's the like thinking about how much there is left of it that I can see being the part where it's like, oh my god, like that I get.
Well, but at the same time, and maybe this is inspiration for listeners and people talking about resolutions, right? I love movies. So if I can look back at a year and say I did something I loved 200 times, that is like better. That's better than I think most people could even dream of. So
I mean, that's pretty inspirational. And see, I bet it's pretty cool to look back on your letterbox and see, like, wow, 180 like write-ups, like that's or like ratings, or, you know, however much or little you gave to a movie. Like, that's pretty cool to see for a year.
It's a fun time,
especially because does Letterboxd do like a year in review for like year reviews to show you here's what you did?
I think it has a re-up, like a Spotify Wrapped type thing.
That's got to be pretty satisfying when that comes through.
Yeah. I went last year. My top director was Wes Anderson. So
Yeah, there you go.
I'm trying to hopefully. I don't know who it could possibly be this time, but David Lynch probably.
Yeah,
if I'm being completely honest.
Well, as that's a good way to end the first episode with David Lynch being the contender for the top director. Well, good. Well, then happy New Year, everybody, on New Year's Day, no less. We're gonna wrap things up, but yes, definitely follow us on Bluesky for the cultured amongst you on the Bluesky. Check us out on Patreon. Be on the lookout for new things coming down that way. And Happy New Year. Take care of yourselves. And there's going to be lots of cool stuff coming Mix and Mush way.
And real quick, sorry you did such a good send off, but also listeners, thanks for being with us for this new year. We've had, I would say, and I'm speaking for myself, a pretty strong first run from the summer through fall into the new year, and it wouldn't be possible if people didn't listen and weren't supportive, whether it's people we know or people we don't know. Just the idea that they were with us this whole time while we were figuring out what we do and what makes Mush is. It's
we've both been pretty happy with the way that we started it. So it was a cool runway for the extended pilot takeoff. So here we are at the beginning of the year. Pretty exciting stuff. So yeah, excellent stuff. And thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Dan.
We'll be off and running. So in the meantime, keep mixing, keep mushing, and do all that good stuff. That's our new catchphrase for the year.
Keep doing all this stuff. Bye, everybody.
See ya.